The night was dark and stormy, the wind howling through the trees like a chorus of tortured souls. Lightning slashed across the sky, briefly illuminating the old, decrepit mansion that loomed ahead. My girlfriend Emily and I had heard the rumors about this place for years, tales of demonic rituals, unspeakable horrors, and a malevolent presence that never rested. But we were young and foolish, and the thrill of exploring the haunted mansion was too tempting to resist. We stood before the mansion's rusted iron gate, our flashlights cutting through the inky darkness. The front door was slightly ajar, an invitation to the unknown. Emily looked at me with a mischievous grin, her green eyes sparkling with excitement.
Are you ready for this, Jake?
I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. Let's do it. With trepidation, we pushed the creaking door open and entered the mansion. The air inside was heavy with the scent of decay, and the walls seemed to ooze with a sinister energy. We moved cautiously through the dimly lit foyer, the floorboards groaning beneath our feet. As we explored further into the mansion, we encountered eerie paintings that seemed to follow our every move, and strange symbols etched into the walls. Emily's nervous laughter echoed through the hallways, but it couldn't mask the growing sense of dread that gnawed at the edges of my mind. Hours passed, and the mansion's labyrinthine corridors seemed to twist and turn, leading us deeper into its malevolent heart. We heard whispers in the shadows, faint cries for help that sent shivers down our spines. But we pressed on, our curiosity outweighing our fear. Finally, we entered a room that froze us in our tracks. The walls were covered in grotesque murals depicting unholy rituals and twisted, nightmarish creatures. In the center of the room, an altar stood, adorned with candles and dripping with fresh blood. Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth in horror. "We need to get out of here," I said, my voice trembling. But before we could move, a sinister presence filled the room, an icy chill that seemed to seep into our very souls. The candles on the altar flickered and died, plunging us into darkness. Panic welled up within me as I fumbled for my flashlight, but when the light returned, something had changed. Emily was no longer herself. Her eyes were vacant, devoid of the warmth and light that had drawn me to her. She looked at me with a twisted smile, and her voice was cold and lifeless.
"Jake, you shouldn't have come here. Now you belong to us."
Before I could react, Emily lunged at me with unnatural speed, her fingers like claws as she grabbed hold of my throat. I struggled to break free, but her grip was inhumanly strong. Her lips curled back in a snarl, revealing sharp, glistening fangs. I gasped for breath, my vision fading, but a surge of adrenaline gave me one last burst of strength. With all the force I could muster, I pushed Emily away and scrambled to my feet. My heart raced as I ran through the dark, twisting hallways of the mansion, desperate to escape the nightmare that had consumed my girlfriend. Behind me, I heard Emily's eerie laughter, echoing through the corridors like a haunting melody. It was a sound that chilled me to the bone, a cruel mockery of the woman I had once loved. As I raced through the mansion, I stumbled upon a hidden chamber deep within its bowels. The walls of the chamber were lined with books, their pages filled with incomprehensible symbols and incantations. In the center of the room, an ancient tome lay open on a pedestal. It radiated an aura of malevolence that made my skin crawl. Desperation clawed at me as I realized that this was the source of the evil that had possessed Emily. I knew what I had to do. With trembling hands, I began to read aloud from the ancient tome, hoping to break the curse that had taken hold of her. The air crackled with dark energy as I recited the incantations, and I could feel the mansion itself fighting against me. But I pressed on, pouring every ounce of my willpower into the ritual. The room trembled, and the walls seemed to bleed as the curse fought back. Suddenly, Emily appeared in the doorway, her eyes blazing with fury. She screamed in a voice that was not her own, a sound that pierced my very soul, but I couldn't stop. I had to save her. With a final surge of power, I completed the incantation. The room erupted in a blinding flash of light, and Emily was thrown back, her scream silenced. When the light faded, she lay on the floor, unconscious but no longer possessed. I rushed to her side, tears streaming down my face. "Emily, can you hear me?" She groaned and slowly opened her eyes, the warmth and light returning to them. She looked at me, confusion and fear in her gaze.
What happened? Where are we?
I held held her close, relief flooding through me. "It's over, Emily. We're going to get out of here, and I'll explain everything later." As we left the mansion, the storm outside had subsided, and the night was quiet once more. But the memory of the demonic chase and the possession that had almost claimed my girlfriend and I would not leave my mind. We had escaped the clutches of the malevolent presence, but the scars it left on our souls would be forever. It's been 1 week since that malevolent experience, and Emily and I are still healing from it. We don't leave each other's sides. When one of us go into a room, the other follows. We sleep with the light on and emergency sources of light stored everywhere around the house. The Sunday that followed, we had been out on a walk in the park, enjoying nature and being sure to stay in the presence of other people. The demonic experience truly did a number on us, although at 3 p.m., Emily started feeling tired, so we packed up our things and went home. She started coughing on our way home, unusually in series of 3, which I did find odd, but at the time it didn't really faze me. We had dinner, relaxed in the lounge room, and then went to bed, of course, with all the lights on. All of a sudden, I awoke from my sleep to moderately loud banging on the front door. Emily didn't seem that fazed about it, so I left her so she could get some rest. I walked to the door and realized through the colored fractal glass someone large standing on the other side. "Who is it?" I hesitantly asked. No answer, so I decided to open the door, making sure to leave the safety chain latch still attached as a precaution. Nothing. No one was even there. All of a sudden, I hear a loud thud from upstairs and bolt up as fast as I can. I burst into the bedroom doorway and ask, "Emily, are you okay?" Emily is standing at the open window looking out into the darkness. I ask her one last time, gently, "Emily, are you okay?" She answered,
"Emily hasn't been here for quite some time."
My blood turned cold. My stomach sank as I hear a grotesque snarl come from her, which then turned into echoing laughter. As if multiple children were laughing all around us, I take a more defensive stance, preparing myself to either flee or be attacked, when all of a sudden every light in the house went out. I try to reach for my torch when I start to hear snapping, almost as if bones were cracking and being broken. Then it suddenly stopped, not just the cracking, but everything. There was no sound at all, no crickets, no sound of life, just utter emptiness. I try to make out my surroundings carefully with my hands until all of a sudden I feel skin, cold to the touch and lifeless. My voice trembling and my entire body tense with fear, I say for the last time, "Emily,